Hello, my name is Wesley, and I'm going to be sharing the Victorian Web with you, which is a digital library that shares historical documents, photographs, artwork, ephemera, and even some audio from, as you can probably guess, the Victorian era. It has currently over 115,000 pieces pertaining to Victorian era culture, and the scope is everything that you can see here. Everything from political history, social history, philosophy, religion, science, technology, visual arts, music and theater, authors. It has original Victorian texts, Victorian economics, genre and style, gender matters. It is just about anything and everything from or pertaining to the Victorian era. Naturally, the focus is on work from Great Britain, but there is also some material for comparison from other European countries and former British territories, as well as some modern works on the era from non-British scholars. It includes primary and secondary sources. I would say that the best way to describe their scope is with their own pithy slogan here. The Victorian Web linking scholarship, teaching, and learning since 1994. This slogan is actually a little misleading because the digital library is really old. It was created before the internet in 1987 and was ported to the internet in 1994 and 95. Before that, it was created with a framework called Intermedia, which was a model of Unix-based permissions that allowed linking to and between otherwise read-only documents. They have a history page up here. And as you can see here, the purpose of it is that users can simultaneously edit different parts or documents of the web. So, I'm going to sound young here, but it's basically, the system was a lot like Google Docs. Intermedia was created by Brown University's Institute for Research in Information and Scholarship Intermedia Project, okay, which was funded by Brown with support from IBM, Apple Computers, and a few other sources. We can go back to the main page here. If you can navigate to the credits page here, we can see a little bit more about where it came from. The Victorian Web was not directly funded by Brown, but created by Brown University professor George P. Landau, pretty much single-handedly for students of his Victorian literature class, Survey of English Literature from 1700s to the present. When Intermedia retired in 1992, it was ported to a similar but more advanced program called Story Space. And in 1993, David Stenson arranged the materials and built a sitemap, so Victorian Web gained most of the structure that it has today. And by 1995, when it was ported to HTML, it already had well over 1,000 links and over 3 gigabytes, wow, worth of scholar and student submitted materials. And so every link had to be recoded into HTML by hand by Landau. Since then, it has retained most of its original structure here, but it's of course gotten much bigger. Victorian Web is now a certified nonprofit as of 2020, and it is currently run by a board of 11 editors. It gets 1.5 million page views per month, and it is archived daily by the Library of Congress. The site is still entirely done in HTML, no CSS or other programming languages, except for one minor Google search plugin down here. And that's part of why I picked this digital library. Of course, its old school design stands out, but it's also neat to see just how little site design has an effect on the experience of using the library. Another standout feature of the Victorian Web is the way it is organized. If we can go up here to Victorianism and click how to navigate, we can see that part of their philosophy is that the linking of information in a way that encourages topic-based exploration is better than trying to do a get-in, get-out keyword search, at least for this. It perhaps I shouldn't say better, but it has certain advantages. As they put it, they have a huge diversity of material, and this library uniquely aims to link all this material together rather than presenting each web page in isolation, and so provides a variety of tools for navigating it successfully. The search bar, as I said before, it's just a basic Google search plugin without any advanced searching options. I mean, it works fine, but it's clearly not the primary way that users are intended to explore the library. They are meant to explore by clicking through the web of linked pages. So at the top of each page, here, if we can go to authors, I'll show you what I mean. They are these links they describe as breadcrumbs, which are links to topics that are broader or narrower or related to the topic that you're on. They are not exactly like Dewey Decimals or other classification schemes because it is not a hierarchical order. It is just that everything is grouped by topic and links to other related topics. So things that you might be interested in or might wish to connect this to when you're on this page. So one way to describe this is if we scroll down here to John Stuart Mill and click on him, we can see up here that it links to both science and philosophy. Because when you think about John Stuart Mill, you know that he is a scientist and a philosopher, and so you might wish to connect him to science and philosophy. Notice here that although we arrived at this page from the author's page, there's not a breadcrumb link to the author's page. And this is because when you think of John Stuart Mill, you don't immediately associate him with being an author. He is one, but that's probably not what you're interested in. When you are searching for information about John Stuart Mill, or when you happen across it, you are probably most interested in science and philosophy. Whereas some of the authors, let me go back to the homepage here, go to authors and go down to Arthur Conan Doyle. It does link to authors here on the top because that's the first thing that you'd think of as Arthur Conan Doyle, as you think of him as being the author of Sherlock Holmes. So anyway, the idea of this navigation organization system is that it encourages exploration and discovery, and it makes it easier to see how different things link together as opposed to seeing all aspects of Victorian culture and society as discrete. Unlike a search system, this navigation style doesn't expect someone to have a particular topic in mind before they start. So it's sort of giving the same effect as exploring the stacks in an in-person library, or maybe a better analogy is exploring a museum where you aren't necessarily looking for something specific. You're just there for a good time and to find something new. And it's definitely a very different feel from most digital libraries. I suppose one drawback is that for a digital library of this scale, it is easy to get lost, and it's, like I said before, it's not suited to get in, get out style searching. So if that's what you need, then this probably isn't the best, the best library to use for that. And although I personally find the system intuitive, I am sure that some people who are more used to keyword searches might have a harder time with it. But for something of our scale, an exploration-based system like this would be something nice to integrate in some way, at least alongside a search system, because I imagine many people using our site wouldn't be searching for a specific document about Ruth, but would be exploring and discovering things and generally poking around the site. So if we go over here to Gender Matters and just click on the Contagious Diseases Act, which I just clicked on randomly, we can see that it links to political history, social history, and gender matters, which is so weird. Like you wouldn't normally think of those things as being components of the Contagious Diseases Act, but this is an interesting concept, and sort of by linking it that way, you associate the Contagious Diseases Act with, you can integrate, that's perhaps the word I mean, you can integrate the Contagious Diseases Act with these other aspects of Victorian society. Anyway, so the main things that I think we can learn from the Victorian web for the purposes of our site are that entries do not need to belong to a single category, and offering links between related topics is a good way of connecting concepts. 2, the structure of the library search system, of any library search system, can either support or discourage exploration based on its emphasis on searching versus linking and exploration and finding. And then, of course, a clear sitemap and ease of access to the information is much more important than aesthetics, which is perhaps obvious, but it's nice to have an example of a page that actually makes that work, of a library that makes that work. And to leave just on a fun little note, I wanted to show off their collection of well-deserved web awards, which you can see here, a selection of prizes awarded to the Victorian web. It's completely amazing. Look at this. It's one of Cyber Teddy's top 500 website. So if you need any more proof that this is an excellent digital library, then here it is. All right. Thanks for listening.